he picked the wrong family, and not scared of a conflict, and we're not scared. We're not running. We're coming at him.
Hey guys, welcome to the think tank. How you doing, Dar? Good morning, Dandy. I think she's lurking right now. So I've been looking into James Burke, and oh my God, guys, insane. He got picked up in what they call Pickle Park. So Pickle Park is a vet's memorial in that area. And I guess guys will go there looking for hookups. So they had a task force, or they were watching that area, and they caught him with his pickle out at Pickle Park, soliciting, just everything probably an ex-cop should not be doing. Good morning, James. How are you doing, friend? Talking about Pickle Park and how he treated women, the different substances he liked, losing his guns while his working girlfriend would drive off looking for substances in his work vehicle. So just a winner. So I have done a pretty good deep dive on him, and I tell you what, it is a complete and total, the entire area from prosecution down was corrupt. The cops, the chiefs, the higher ups from them, everybody. Some of them just are finishing out some terms because I think they got obstruction of justice, basically because they were hiding what Burke had done to the guy that found his toy bag in the back of his cop car. So yeah, he's a piece of work. So as far as jumping in to him super, super, super deep, we're not there yet because there's so many names, guys. But what I'm going to do is catch us up to what I do know and what I have learned. But I've started my own file on James Burke because he just does not fit. There's too much information, way too much information. So let's see here where I want to take you first. That's not it. What are you over there? That's not it. That's not it. I'm going to do this. I'll just close that. Different platform again today. So I think what we'll look at first, I never know how they... So this here, the rant. So this is going to give us an idea what was happening to his, what are they called? Mexi. This is going to give you a pretty good look at what kind of lifestyle he had, which I tell you what, was absolutely not one for a police chief. Pickle Park. James Burke parked at Pickle Park to pick a pack of pickled Peters. Well said. So it sounds like they call all the little along the highway there, all the different little pull-ins, they call them all pickle parks. So they must all be there for hookups, I guess would be the right way to put it. Make those bigger for you. Pickle Park, that's what they call it. So, Suffolk police report as Sergeant Chief James Burke twice lost his weapon, his service weapon. Okay. Suffolk Chief Department's James Burke as sergeant in the 1st precinct 20 years ago twice lost his police issued service weapon at the time that he carried on a relationship with a woman who had a criminal record, according to Police Internal Affairs report. The March 1995 report, written by Sergeant Vincent Pasilico and approved by then Captain Edward Vitale, charged that Burke could not find his weapon 2 times in the fall of 1993. Once when he left a felon, Loretta Rickenbacker, now we got to remember that name, takes his personal car to her, Wyandotte home with his handgun lying on the back seat. The report said that he engaged in a personal relationship with Rickenbacker, a convicted felon known to be actively engaged in criminal conduct, including possession and sale of substances, working girl, and larceny. Burke's lawyer, Joseph Conway, did not return a call Sunday for comment, but the Suffolk Police Department also did not return for comment. In the report, Burke said the relationship lasted 6 months and that he did not know that Rickenbacker had a criminal history because, he had no way of finding that kind of stuff out. He also denied that she ever possessed his weapon. Yeah, well, BS, buddy. Following the nearly 2-year internal affairs investigation, officials determined that these activities constituted conduct unbecoming of an officer to law enforcement sources, and the report said in April 1995, Suffolk then Deputy Police Commissioner Robert Kieran signed off on that internal affairs determination. One of the sources said it is not clear how or if Burke was disciplined. Internal affairs investigations are launched after a complaint is filed against an officer. Completed inquiries can either lead to the officer being cleared or to recommending some sort of administrative punishment, such a reprimand, a fine, or suspension without pay, or referring the case to the district attorney under the New York state law. Internal affairs investigations are not made public. So, Burke, appointed by county executive, now we want to remember this guy's name too, Steve Ballone, led the police department last year, is now under federal investigation for allegedly assaulting a Smithtown man who was in the custody of the 4th precinct, accused of taking a department issue equipment out of the chief's vehicle when it was parked near Burke's home. So that is the toy bag. Earlier this year, the FBI's Civil Rights Bureau and the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District launched the investigation. Other law enforcement sources said earlier that Christopher Loeb told family members that Burke, at the time was 49, punched him while they were alone December 14th, 2012, in the 4th Precinct squad room. Police said Loeb had an accomplice broke into Burke's department-issued GMC Yukon hours earlier that day and took a duffel bag containing Burke's gun belt, ammunition, cigars, and they say other items. Well, we know what those other items are, aren't they? And they're still alleging that there was some kind of snuff thing going on. I do believe I've got an article about something along those lines where he giggled through it. Chief Burke denies any allegations of wrongdoing, and the department said about the federal investigation, once a subject has been arraigned, the Suffolk County Police Department does not comment on the case. While in the 1990s, internal affairs investigation was underway, law enforcement sources said Burke was being considered for a promotion, which was eventually denied because of the report's findings. So, the trail to Rickenbacker. In August 1993, Internal Affairs report, hashtag 93-152, was launched after allegations surfaced that Burke, known to those in the streets as Starsky, was consuming illegal substances and that he was taking substances from people and failing to invoice them as police property. So he was just taking this stuff. The substance use allegations was unfounded and invoice accusations was found to be unsubstantiated according to the report. Yeah, well, whatever. But those allegations led investigators to Rickenbacker, who was at the time had 27 arrests on her record. Investigators met Rickenbacker at the Nassau County Jail in April 1994 when she consented to have an interview to defend Burke against the allegations. She was initially reluctant to discuss Starsky, but when she was made aware of the allegations that he was using substances, she adamantly refuted it and agreed to cooperate. In a sworn statement to police back in April 27th, 1994. So this is the girlfriend, allegedly. Rickenbacker told investigators she met Burke in May 1992 when her girlfriend was hit by a car in North Amityville near Sunrise Highway and Albany Avenue. She admitted to the police that she used, there was a crack in the sidewalk, seemed concerned for me because we became friends. After about 6 months, I was comfortable enough to get into car number 137 with him, her statement said. Rickenbacker said, she told investigators Burke gave her small gifts such as roses, money for food, which she later admits she used to buy substances, and that the two engaged in OS in his patrol car. During the interview with Rickenbacker, investigators also learned Burke failed to safeguard his service weapons 2 times. She told investigators that in the fall of 1993, Burke went to her house after work, picked her up in his personal car when she described a blue Pontiac, the report said. She told investigators, according to the report, that Burke drove her to his house to drop off some things. She waited in the car. Then he took her to Roy Rogers for lunch. The next day, he accused her of taking his weapon, she said. Rickenbacker said she located the weapon at his home the day after, and he apologized to her. Well, isn't that good of him? So what? All loaded up and can't find your gun? When investigators checked her store, they found Burke had reported the loss or theft of his .38 caliber Beretta semi-automatic on October 3rd, according to Suffolk County Police Department field report. Like, what? What? The supplementary report was filed on October 4th, 1993, saying Burke reported that he had located the weapon in his own residence in a secure location. He just didn't know where that was for a while. So, according to Internal Affairs report, the second time Burke is alleged to have lost his weapon was November 1993. Rickenbacker told investigators Burke gave her the keys to his vehicle while they were at a diner in Sunrise Highway in Babylon. When she got home, she started doing substances and did not return to the diner. He got the weapon back when he arrived at her house hours later. So, what? She told him she needed to run home because she left the house unlocked. So he gave her the keys and he waited at the diner for her. Rickenbach's statement, which included in the report, says that his gun belt and uniform were in the back seat. James' gun was in the gun belt. The statement wrote, "I took the gun out of the holster and brought it into my house. I put the gun belt and his uniform in the trunk. When James and his partner came to my house, I gave them back the weapon." Rickenbacker told investigators that the two broke off the relationship after that incident. During an interview dated January 31st, 1995, Burke told investigators that he had a 6-month personal relationship with Rickenbacker, but denied he knew she was a criminal. Yeah, right. Sergeant Burke could not recall if he ever let her use his personal car, but denied that Rickenbacker ever possessed his service weapon. He could not recall if he allowed Loretta to sit in the police car, but he absolutely denied engaging in any activity while on duty. Well, yeah, because that's why he carried that goodie bag around, just because, he knew he would never need it. Good Lord. Investigators found Rickenbacker, who took a polygraph test, was telling the truth about the 2 times Burke failed to safeguard his weapon. The report and sources said, in addition, the report found that Burke knew about Rickenbacker's criminal history because her crimes occurred in Burke's precinct. Given Sergeant Burke's forte for being aware of the criminal element in his patrol zone, this and his intimate association with Loretta Rickenbacker, his claim that he knew nothing about her activities in the background seems disingenuous. Her professed admiration and support for Sergeant Burke also lent credence to her account of the incidences. Rickenbacker is in an upstate jail on charges of second-degree criminal possession of a forged instrument. In June, the FBI served subpoenas on nearly a half dozen police officers. I do have a lot of these names, but I have to do some more digging on these guys. So, detectives and headquarters personnel to appear before a federal grand jury investigation. The alleged assault on Loeb, who had been indicted on almost 30 charges and held on a $500,000 bail, is due back in court. Yeah. He is a material witness. So, oh, guys. What the hell is it with this man? There's no way that there is not more to this. There's just no way. Ay, ay, ay. Yep. He lost his service weapon twice. Okay, let's say the Memorial Park is a hookup spot. Shame on them. Why was he wandering about with his pickle out? That's my thoughts. Like, you don't walk around anywhere. You're not in a wreck beach type situation. Yes. All of these guys are dirty. Burke had something on all of them. No way could have he had all those serious infractions and gotten away with it. Probably sold his piece for yeah. I know. I know what you meant. With that thought, JJ also thought that maybe they went missing on purpose. He could have used it on someone and just gotten rid of it. Fair comment? Agreed. Wonder where those confiscated substances went. Gilgo parties, possibly? That's kind of what I'm thinking. Never mock Starsky and Hutch. Yeah, he went. Jasmine, please. Keep it down as you're racing by. Yeah. In such a safe location that he himself did not know where it was. Isn't that amazing? Yippee-ki-yay. Yeah. Yeah, you gotta like rigs. Yeah. So, yeah, it seems like we've just had all sorts of, misadventures happening in that area, and not really a lot done about it for quite a few years there, and with all this giggle stuff, this, Gilgo stuff happening, him and his crew are basically right in the middle of it. Where were they partying with all of these substances and working girls? Exactly across from the beach that so many of these girls have been found. Now, am I saying that this makes Rex innocent? No. In no way, shape, or form is Rex innocent in my mind. But is it possible that Burke has committed one or more? I do believe. A convicted worker and substance dealer who allegedly had a personal relationship with former County Police Chief James Burke was charged on Monday for hitting a woman with a 2x4 in Massapequa. Okay, Laredo, what? Police said Laredo Rickenbacker of Massapequa, get that, of Massapequa, went to collect money from a person who was allegedly her tenant at a Clocks Boulevard home. The tenant allegedly did not have the money to give her, so Rickenbacker struck the tenant 4 or 5 times, causing swelling above the victim's eyes. She then fled the scene, and the victim was transported to a local hospital. So she was charged with second-degree assault, criminal possession of a weapon. Rickenbacker allegedly had a personal relationship with Burke back in 1995. We know that he was sentenced to that 46 months for beating up Christopher Loeb and trying to hide it. Yeah, that bag of Didlos, those bag of Didlos. He didn't want anyone to know about those, did he? But why do you keep your Didlos in your vehicle? Well, hello, Wolfie. Good to see you, friend. Told your guy problematic. Good to see this is big news on Long. Sounds great. Yeah, I've been digging deep into this, uh, Wolfie, and holy, I'm shocked at the depth of the corruption. How many people, all those people that were working under James Burke, how many of them were terrified not to follow what he said had to be said? It's like, oh my. Yeah, just nothing good. Yeah, very problematic indeed. Yeah, misadventures. You see, that's what I'm thinking. This is exactly what I'm thinking. Yep, the dude was burning that candle at both ends, probably be on duty, then heads over to a party with his bag of goodies. Or he would in my I'm imagining he's doing it during work hours as well. And James, I believe very much that he could have been involved with Shannon. Now that we've made a connection, allegedly, between Burke and Dr. Defib and possibly Joseph Brewer. Not looking good. Definitely learning more and more each day in that direction. I agree, Dandy. I think he definitely had his hand in more than we know. Yeah, that's the chief. What's the rest like? Oh my word. Oh my word. Just wait. I will be doing more. I have to break down a lot of these names because there's a lot. I've already started a file, I think I was saying, separately for James Burke, just specifically so I can go through this. Like we've got Chief Executive Steve Ballone. We've got, do you know, John Olivia. We've got Burke. We have a bunch of names of guys that were working under Burke. We also have the head of, let me see here. This is James, but we've also got Christopher McPartland and Thomas J. Spoda. So Thomas Spoda was the Suffolk County District Attorney. Christopher McPartland was the Chief Investigations and Chief of Government Corruption Bureau in Suffolk County. Those are the names we're looking at. It's like, oh wee. So I have lots to do. And it's going to depend on how much I find out about each individual and how deep this goes as to how I'm going to do the video. Some of them are going to probably be on just one or two people. One might be in a group, and others might be just deep dives on these guys because these are the ones that put Burke into the position of chief. And these are also the guys that protected him after he attacked Christopher Loeb. Yeah, or at any party. Yep, absolutely. The names are getting deep, friend. Wonder if someone will flip on this. Wonder if charges are steep enough. Anyway, can't chat. Hands are occupied. Thanks so much for being here. Wolfie, a few people are thinking that these Pickle Park charges are just a way to get him locked up. Are they working on something bigger? I do believe they're working on something bigger. I do believe. That's the vibe I'm getting. Okay, I think this is about... Okay, we don't need that one. On to the next. So, disgraced Gilgo Beach police chief who botched HEUERMANN probe giggled watching, really bad films, says Lisk's victim's lawyer. This is bad. Bad, bad, bad. And this has come out recently. Disgraced ex-Long Island Police Chief James Burke once allegedly laughed while watching a messed up film in front of other officers and should be probed for ties to Rex HEUERMANN, a lawyer for the Gilgo victims' family claims. Well, Massapequa's coming up, isn't it? Now, wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be something if it turns out I haven't found it? I think more that comes out in public, the more that people will come forward. I agree with you 100%. I know, Pickle Park. And it could not be worse. It's just bad. How does this happen? Like, I mean, I'm not going to say Canada's any better because no. Look in our history. But this guy is really bad. And yes, that's exactly it, James. What you just said. Yeah. Allegedly, that made him giggle. You know, that was quite entertaining. Derailing the beach deleting probe. There's our good friend Rex. Are we going to find ties? Wouldn't that be something? And there is John Ray, and he is going hard, still fighting for Shannon. And I know he is working on another case as well, as far as those victims go. The arrest came as the latest in a long line of scandals to envelop the disgraced Suffolk County Police Chief since he was forced to step down from his coveted post in 2015. Burke resigned after he was arrested. I wonder why. Why do you think he just resigned? December 2015 for the brutal attack on Christopher Loeb, whom he attacked while he was handcuffed to the floor, is what I'm hearing. And basically because he stole a bag from his patrol car containing adult toys and adult materials on video. And he has been blamed for botching this probe into the Gilgo Beach deletings. For years, Burke conspired with other officials to, that's the thing, other officials, to cover up the attack while undermining the investigation into the deleting of multiple workers whose remains were found dumped along Long Island's shore between 2010 and 2011. Yeah. And I mean, right here, this, I'm not going to click on it right now, but investigated for the Asian male. Well, we know that Rex wrote about Twinkies, so that fits as far as that goes. But we're just learning that Burke, he swings both ways. So what the hell? Years later, in an appearance on a podcast, Loeb would claim that Burke contained a bag of incriminating evidence, including DVDs of one of those disgusting, I mean, what? A violent P video documenting an actual deleting. What? What? I mean, are you kidding me? Where did this thing go? Where the hell did this thing go? He said that the footage depicted a worker being attacked. He claimed the woman was bound, crying as she literally begged for her life. Also claimed Burke's bag of goodies contained images of what he believed to be prepubescent boys. Oh my God. Loeb's claims have never been verified, nor have they been disproven. Oh, I'm sure the little maggot would have got rid of all that stuff right away. John Ray, an attorney representing the families of two Gilgo victims, Shannon Gilbert and Jessica Taylor, told the U.S. Sun that since he joined the case in 2011, allegations concerning these types of films have been rife. Ray said that they almost immediately he was given information that Gilbert's deleting may have been recorded to be later sold on the dark web. Oh my God. What the actual? That's scary. She vanished 7 months earlier, shortly after she called 911 to report someone was trying to delete her. Burke's department ruled her passing a horrible accident, that she drowned in half an inch of mud. Not mud, a little bit of water. Surface was fairly hard by the looks of it because there was still snow around, so the ground was still a bit frozen. Ray says that Loeb's claim of Burke being in possession of that film were certainly, in his opinion, not out of the realm of possibility. In fact, he claims one law enforcement source told him Burke once allegedly watched a film at work and openly laughed at the distressing images. There was a showing of the film in the police department. So that means how many more guys know about this thing, right? Presumably for evidentiary reasons, Ray recounted his unnamed source telling him, And Burke was there and he was giggling, was so offended. The source said that he wouldn't stay in the room with Burke. Why he found that funny, I don't know, but Christopher Loeb also claimed to have seen CP and the discs in Burke's bags. So there is somebody in law enforcement that they're just calling the source that said that this was also shown in the precinct. So if he was in possession of CP as well, that begs the question, did he have any connection to Rex Heuermann? After years of misleads, obstruction, and corruption under stewardship of Burke, Suffolk County investigators made a staggering breakthrough in the Gilgo Beach case last month when they arrested Rex Heuermann. Pizzagate! Heuermann has so far been charged with deleting 3 women along Long Island's South Shore in late 2010 and remains the prime suspect in the 4th, which would be Maureen Brainerd Barnes. And I do believe she was the first one to go missing. So let's hope that that DNA comes through and hits him right where he needs to be hit. He was identified as a potential suspect in the deletings just weeks after the Suffolk County Sheriff's Office launched a new dedicated task force to finally solving these sprees. I mean, what these guys have done, this task force, is incredible. Just 2022, I believe it was February they started this. They zeroed in on Rex Heuermann, and they are basically starting from scratch. And what is coming out isn't pretty. So yeah, says here, James Burke, the ex-chief police of Suffolk County, was arrested last week at Pickle Park for trying to solicit an undercover park ranger. Yeah, you're a dip-ish. Like, look at all of those things he's got on there. Like all of the, what are they? Not commandments, but he's well declarated. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Maureen Brainard Barnes, the only one that has not been confirmed where those 4 ladies were found. They were found very close together, all basically the same everything. It is not a big leap to say that they're all involved. They've got his wife's DNA on these girls, his DNA on these girls. Megan Waterman and Amber Lynn Costello. So they were found in this brush, basically in the exact same spot. After the arrest, officials revealed that HEUERMANN had been searching for Violent P and CP in the weeks and months leading up to his capture. They were saying that they thought he was just getting ready to strike again, and that's why they picked him up when they did. So we know that there was all of those really disgusting searches on his Google, things I cannot say. They also recently heard that during a search of HEUERMANN's home, they unearthed a huge cache of CP. Suffolk County Sheriff's Office declined to comment on the claims, adding they're not sharing any additional information about the search at this time, which is best. But Ray said, should the rumors prove to be true, investigators should look at any potential ties between HEUERMANN and Burke. I mean, absolutely, if nothing else, eliminate it. If you have a cache of different videos and that kind of thing, the chances are that you're trading on the black market or on the dark web. Those kinds of things is very high. Unreal. And when you get those kinds of things, you sell them, buy them, swap them, and you find groups of people who have like-minded interests. So the chances that Rex is associated in this nasty film would go against the trend. Usually these guys form these little groups, trade materials, and even meet each other, sometimes even flying to different cities. Ray speculated that HEUERMANN's internet searches for the Violent P may indicate he was actively seeking out those films, like the kind described by Loeb, alleged to be in Burke's possession. Also, we can't forget that there is a source, it sounds like from the cop shop, that is saying that this guy played this at the precinct. So, extremely valuable item on the black web underworld. Several $100,000s. That's unreal. Can be incredibly valuable to sickos that deal in this. Oh, that's a rumor regarding Burke, and I don't know it to be true, but it's certainly something investigators should be taking a close look at. I would have to agree. Unreal. Leaving custody. So he is out, guys. And yep, both Burke and HEUERMANN had these nasty encounters. So in my personal opinion, I don't know, not a detective, just in my personal opinion, I think they need to look at Shannon Gilbert as far as Burke goes really, really hard. The fact that he could have been hanging out very easily. I mean, if there is that connection, we have to remember Dr. Defib was the physician for all of the cops. So they knew each other. So did they know each other well enough? I mean, they both seem to have the same proclivities. Did they know each other well enough that she showed up at that house and both those guys were there? It concerns me. Oh, yes. The woman, she goes by Leanne, and she said Burke suffered from performance issues for a second time, and that's when he got cranky. Yeah, this girl wasn't even a working girl at the time. He got all choked. He's on Viagra. I found that out. Allegedly on Viagra. It was supposed to have been in that bag of goodies. Describing the experience as dehumanizing, Leanne said Burke threw $300 at her It was the first time she'd ever been paid. So she also said that she seen Joseph Brewer at this party, and that was the last person who hired Shannon Gilbert. That is the house that she was in when she made those phone calls saying people were after her. So Leanne is claiming that there could be a connection between Brewer, Burke, and Dr. Defib. Ray said that during Leanne's encounter, Burke had grabbed her neck in an act of aggression. He said the second worker shared a similar story of being grabbed around the neck by Burke during an encounter. Others have told him that Burke also often indulged in use of hard substances, including more words I can't say, and enjoyed cross-dressing. Now, isn't that interesting? So doesn't that make us just a little bit more interested in that young Asian male? Because you know what? There's a few of them. Peaches, maybe. This guy. Shannon. All a little bit different. So in 2016, friends and former colleagues of Burke described him as a narcissist who was always, yeah, and that he did love his workers. Alexis Linkletter, host of Unraveled podcast, told Rolling Stone in 2021 that during her investigation into the Suffolk County PD, she uncovered a series of disturbing allegations about Burke acting extremely violently towards workers. Yes. Yes. We've also talked to people about his proclivities, and every time with him, it's intertwined with violence. We heard he once broke a worker's arm. We heard he used the neck of a stripper in a club. There was always some kind of aggravation involved, aggression involved. Take it what it's for, but if you have this man in charge of police department, it's just a recipe for total chaos as far as enforcing the law is concerned. Ray likened Burke to HEUERMANN, insisting that both men were cut from the same deviant cloth. HEUERMANN is also reported to have a history with workers that was also very aggressive. Suffolk Sheriff Aaron Tolan Jr. revealed that his investigators have interviewed a number of workers hired by HEUERMANN in the past year. Tolan said some of the workers became concerned for their safety during their encounters with the 6'4", 240-pound architect. They described his behavior as violent and aggressive. A person of that size being a little aggressive was probably frightening. Ray believes the full extent of Burke's seemingly double life and corruption is yet to be realized. I have that same damn feeling. How about you guys? Thank you, Mexi. Oh my goodness. Oh, that could be. You're saying Massapequa well. That's how I always remembered it being spoken on the island. I wonder if it's a Native American word. Hey, that could be because I do have Cree for sure. This case, Wolfie, has just, oh my goodness. There's just so many rabbit holes to jump down. So I'm basically at a spot right now where it's a matter of which one I want to jump into first. So Burke has just led me to an amazing amount of names and an amazing amount of really bad acts. Yeah, learning is great fun. Just hear the story about Kim Jong-un exiled. Yes! Yeah. Yeah, I wonder if cops were watching Burke or Pickle Park. What do you think? Like, I think they were watching Burke. I really, really think they were watching Burke. I think they've been watching Burke for a couple years. Can you imagine if they were just watching PP and all of a sudden they see Starsky over here pull up? Almost as good as Sheriff Grady Judd catching a fellow's officer pulling up an unmarked DA car to do an undercover string involving socks. No lead in the pickle. Not pickled enough. Since Burke was busted by undercover agents, it leads me to believe they were watching him. They don't have to admit knowing who he is. That's kind of what I'm thinking, friend. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. No, I don't think it was. Oh, my word. So let's see here. However, citing Burke's history of aggression and workers and substances scandals, Ray told the U.S. Sun that a particular focus should be geared towards the still unidentified Asian male known as John Doe 8, whose skeletal remains were found along Ocean Parkway in April of 2011. The victim was deleted between 5 and 10 years earlier and suffered severe trauma to their skull, possibly that type of wound. I do think Burke is worth another look. So the fact that this was used, it really makes me start to look at Burke a little heavier. We have the deleted Asian male whose remains were found in such bad shape because, unlike the others, he was in the head apparently several times. Rex also had a lot of guns, so he could have used one if he was the deleter, but we don't know. That's just speculation. But another person who would have one is a cop. Asian male, yet to be identified. So at this point, this is how everyone is laid out. So the girls, these ones here, all kind of in a row. Valerie Mack just a little bit further up, and the Asian male was a little bit closer to her than she was, than he was the other grouping of the Gilgo girls. So we also have Shannon Gilbert. Don't know if she's supposed to be included. Number 7 was just identified. I don't know why it's not coming to my brain. And we've got Peaches and the toddler. It's indisputable at this point that Burke frustrated the investigation of Shannon Gilbert and the Gilgo Beach deleting, which itself warrants another look. It depends on what kind of weapon was used, but perhaps it could have been a complete deletion of this young fellow by a cop. With Burke, there's always been speculation. That speculation needs to be looked at more carefully. I understand the speculation, like, what? Ho! It blows me away. This is the almighty chief. So Burke's previous lawyer has passed away, so we don't know if he has a lawyer speaking on his behalf right now or if he's going to have a government, a state funded attorney. So basically, we've got Suffolk County Sheriff Errol Toulon Jr. in charge of the investigation, and he's been working magic. He is phenomenal. This is Rex Heuermann's house after they were finishing up with that 12-day search. So yeah, guys. Ooh, 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 ooh. Oh, I didn't know that. Massapequa is also known as the Massapequa Indians. We're just one of the several tribes along the Long Island under control of Sachem Takapusha. I'm not sure. So, guys, that is what I've got on James Burke right now. I wanted to touch on him because so much is coming out. I don't think that if I don't do updates, I really don't think we're going to end up with anything less than a 4 or 5 hour stream. There is so much. I'm going to look into Spada. I'm just going to look into everybody. Here I come. This will be what I'm spending my day doing. So I will see if there's any other cases that need any kind of updating, anything new. And if anything happens, I'll be back. So thank you very much, guys. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate you. See you in the next one. Bye.